Samuels in Waco. From Trey Smith, things are trending. He covers the American Conference, media credentialed, trending towards the AAC getting all four or none at all. Hardest part of realignment is the fluidity. Things change by the hour. Stanford, the ultimate domino. If ACC is a no, if any final Hail Mary to the Big Ten is a no, then let's party, and Oresco is on his A game right now.
Well, I mean, that's someone who's very well thought of, Mike Oresco, in the college football world. I think that of the Mountain West are their best options right now, because I don't think the Big Ten's calling, because I think they could have just done that last week when they had vetted Oregon and Washington already before. You can't tell me that they didn't. There's a reason they didn't vet Stanford and Cal, or they didn't get down the road with them, because they could have said, you know, to me, what's the difference between 18 and 20? You're having to blow everything up anyway. If you're adding these schools, I think that they're going to have to, again, get over what they thought of, well, we've got this big, academic conglomerate, and if we can get here and here, look, the American's got Rice. Rice's got some really good schools in it. It's got Navy, SMU. So it's got good academic, schools in it. And maybe, just maybe, you need to realize this is not about that. And here's the deal. If you're Stanford, you can be in Cal. Nobody's going to take away your grant because you're playing football against Tulsa. If you're doing the work, you're doing the work. Like, I don't understand. I know you have these things that may have fallen apart, but if you're already down the road and you're doing this research or you've got this, nobody's going to say, well, Stanford, you're lower now because you've got to play a game against UTSA. We're sorry. They're not. So that's all in your head.
It's funny that you mentioned Tulsa, though, because that's where my mind was like, hey, here's Stanford traveling to Tulsa for a football game. That's just I don't think was in anybody's cards, but I guess that's something that's potentially out there. I mean, as far as markets go, and I know, again, they don't go exactly together, but, I mean, in the American Conference right now, you've got, Memphis, and you'd have Dallas, and you'd have Philly, and you'd have Tampa, and you'd have Tulsa's actually a pretty big city,
yeah.
But I know that's not maybe like the other ones that I mentioned, but it's not a small city by any stretch. You got Charlotte new to it. Florida Atlantic is Miami-esque in a way. You've got Denton, which is not. It's a little farther outside. It's not DFW, no. But it's North Texas.
It's like Humboldt to Houston.
Yeah,
or something like
yeah.
That.
It's not DFW, but it's
the whole thing's one big huge
right.
city. Yeah.
Birmingham, which is a college football hotbed. So there's a mixture of cities there. But yeah, it's not anything that Cal or Stanford signed up for. So if Oresco was able to pull that off, and that'd be awesome for the American Athletic Conference, and he would. Be a guy that has a big hit after being the guy who earlier this year, or what was it, late last year, whenever he was coming out with a statement talking about the strength of the American and, how they were tired of the Power 5 label not being, or the way it was being applied to certain schools and not to, the American. They didn't like that. And he's been outspoken. So if he were to, walk into this situation and grab Cal and Stanford, that'd be a huge coup for him. And we have to give him some props. But there's a lot of irons in the fire, because that's, if the ACC decides not to do anything, and if the Big Ten decides not to do anything, and if the Pac doesn't stay together, and so there's a lot of levers that still need to be pulled, but the American seems to be in a good spot if the right moment comes for them.
Bobby B. Tulsa has 1 million people. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a big city.
It's a big city.
All right,
one more thing.
I had fun when I was there.